Folks, I'm going to show you how to spend 6 times less money on solar panels for your power station. Now, I know what some of you were thinking. There's like a sale going on somewhere, or, maybe I've got a special code or some no-name solar panel that's going to fall apart in 6 months, and none of that's the case here. But before I do that, I need to walk you through the 3, what I think of as the most important things that you need to consider when buying solar panels, particularly for a power station. So let's get into it. First of all, this catches a lot of people, and that is the maximum voltage that your power station can take on its solar input port. Pretty much every power station has an MPPT solar charge controller port. I often call them solar input ports. MPPT stands for maximum power point tracking, and it's just a type of charge controller for solar panels that happens to be the best that we have today. And it tracks the total power that the panel can produce from the sun and kind of adjusts itself as it goes to make sure you get as much power as possible out of your solar panels. Pretty simple, but they all have a maximum voltage that's labeled right on that solar input port, and it might be 60 volts or 80 volts or 140 volts, and it usually will show that solar port voltage in a minimum and a maximum. So the minimum is, well, I think pretty obvious. If you're not producing 12 or 13 or whatever volts it is, then it's not going to produce any power, and the maximum is, I guess, kind of really obvious too, but you can't go over it. So if it says 60 volts, you don't want to try to go over that, or you're going to let the magic smoke out, and we all know letting the magic smoke out is really not a good idea. So that's number 1. Number 2 is the total capacity of your power station. Now, I see people ask all the time, what solar panel should I get? How many of these solar panels should I get? Would this solar panel work for my power station? And the reality is, folks, that you need to look at the capacity of your power station and divide that by 4 to tell you how much solar you need as a good rule of thumb for that power station. So if you have a 1,000 watt hour power station, dividing that by 4 gives you 250 watts. That's how much solar you need for that power station. If you have a 3,000 watt hour power station, you divide that by 4, that gives you 750 watts, and that's the minimum that I would suggest you get for that power station. And that's because you want your power station charged up within a 4-hour period of time, because that is the typical average of solar maximum. Every day the sun rises and it hits its peak, and then it lowers on the horizon, and we all know that because the earth is round, right? It's not flat. We all know it ain't flat anymore. The earth rotates. We know it. This is simple stuff, folks. However, the sun is only directly overhead for a short period of time. And there's a couple hours before that and a couple hours after that the angle that the sun is aimed down at your solar panel, if your panel is aimed correctly, that is, of course, is going to be at that perfect angle to get you the maximum power the panel can produce. And it's about 4 hours on average. So if you use that 4 hours as a rule of thumb, then it makes sense to divide the total capacity by 4 to get you what you need. If you have 4,000 watt hours, 1,000 watts of solar will charge that from 0 in 4 hours of peak solar production. Simple. Okay, now the next thing you need to look at is the amperage of that port. Now, those solar ports always usually say something like 13 amps, 12 amps, 10 amps, 22 amps, whatever on them. And that is what that charge controller will actually draw from your solar panels. Now, a little word of caution here. It's not the standard for how charge controllers are typically labeled. They're normally labeled by the amperage that they will charge a battery up with. So, for example, if you buy a Victron 15035, it's not telling you that it will only draw 35 amps from your solar panels. In fact, it's telling you it will provide 35 amps of charging to your batteries. But on power stations, I have noticed that that is actually what they will draw off of your solar panels, though there is some little bit of flexibility there. For example, Opus tells me that their Opus Mega 1 that says 13 amps can actually draw 14 plus. Here's the thing. In all my many months, in fact, about almost 2 years now of testing that power station, I've never seen it draw over 13 amps. And it says 13 amps on the back. And every other power station that I've played with does the same thing. If it says 20 amps, I've never seen it draw more than 20 amps. Bearing that in mind, if your power station says 20 amps, when you're looking at a solar panel spec sheet or on the back of the panel, unless, of course, you've got a portable panel you're looking at that doesn't have this information, which drives me nuts because a lot of companies do that. And hey, by the way, you companies, you need to stop it. put the information on the panel. Some do, a lot don't. But they should have a spec sheet, and you should be able to find the spec sheet online as well. And if you can't, that might be a cautionary tale. On that spec sheet, there will be things like VOC, which is voltage open current, and that is the maximum voltage that that solar panel would produce, say on a really cold day in the middle of winter when the sun is directly shining on it. That's important to note, because if you only have a 60 volt maximum on your power station and you're looking at a solar panel with 45 volts VOC, then you know that panel would be safe to run on your power station. But if you ran two in series, it would not be, because if you run them in series, which is positive to negative on the solar panels, and you take the one negative and the one positive and you run it to your power station, that doubles the voltage, or you add the voltage for every panel that you add. However, if you put them in parallel, and this is where that amperage or IMP comes in on the panels and your power station, then you leave the voltage at where it was. So two 45 volt panels in parallel are still 45 volts, but you add the amperage. So if they're 10 amp panels, now you have 20 amp. And to put those panels in parallel, you need actually a Y cable, like this one I have here, which has two connectors on one end. That goes to each solar panel, and then one that can go towards the power station. So if you have panels that have, say, 20 amps IMP, and your power station can only take 20 amps, then putting them in parallel will not work for you. That should really help you look at every solar panel. Be sure to check voltage and amperage and figure out how much you need by dividing your power station's capacity by 4. That's going to give you an excellent starting point. You may want more. I do like more. And there are some other things which you can consider that I can discuss in a later video, like over paneling. However, I told you I would tell you how to save 6 times as much money when buying solar panels, or spend 6 times less. It's kind of hard to say actually, but it's true. So here goes. I looked up some solar panels today because frankly I kept seeing people ask, is this a good solar panel for me for my power station? And they were typically always looking at the manufacturer's website, the one that they bought the power station from, and their portable solar panels, you know, the foldable ones. And I kept thinking, what are you doing? First of all, you don't have to buy that manufacturer's panels. You can have a Bluetti with an XYZ solar panel. Solar panels just provide you a means of being able to draw power from the sun, if you think of it that way. Doesn't matter who makes them, as long as the voltage and amperage match your power station's requirement. So I thought, let me do some math here. And I looked up 4 different panels, one from Bluetti, one from EcoFlow, one from Jackery, and one from Opus. And I looked for panels all around the same size in the 350 to 400 watt range. I took the price per watt of each panel and I got the average of it. And the average for portable solar panels, at least those 4, which gives you a broad spectrum from the more expensive to the less expensive, was actually over $1.52 per watt. And then I went somewhere else. I went to Signature Solar, and this is not an ad for Signature Solar, folks. I just happened to go to Signature Solar because I bought panels from them. And frankly, they're one of the largest solar houses in the country. So I went there and I started pulling up solar panels. I pulled up a Boviet panel, a Prism panel, and a Z-Shine panel. And I took their price per watt and I averaged it out, and it was 24 cents per watt. Folks, if you don't need a portable solar panel, which you might, and if you do because you're doing van life or RVing or overlanding, or you live in an apartment, or your landlord won't let you have residential panels, then you need portable solar panels and you're going to pay a premium for them. And that's too bad, but for the convenience of having them, you're going to pay for it. But if you don't need those, you need to look at residential panels, because you can save a ton of money. And let's look at the math here. At just say 25 cents a watt, because the math's easier and I'm being lazy, a 400 watt panel, residential panel, is $100, right? I mean, 1/4 of 400 is 100, and that's how much you would pay. But if you look at portable panels at an average of, say, $1.50 per watt, that's $600. That's 6 times as much. 600 versus 100. I'm not rich. I like to save money, and I suspect you probably do too. But honestly, look at residential panels. Stop buying portable panels unless you need them. Quite frankly, I'm sure every power station manufacturer out there hates me right now, but that's too bad, because frankly, I know you're like me and you don't want to go spend a premium on something you don't need to. So I hope that helps you out. And if it did, do me a favor. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Meanwhile, I'm going to throw another video right over here for you to check out. Thanks for watching, folks, and thanks to all my members. You guys rock. I really appreciate your support. You all have a great day. The old Jarhead out.